Welcome to Eye on the Illini, folks. This is Illini guy Mike Kegley here with Brad Sturdy, Kedrick Prince. We are going to talk about Illinois 90-58 victory over SIU. Brad, general thoughts on what appears to be a pretty dominant performance, which is what you want to see out of a team that is really good.
Yeah, I think this was exactly the kind of game we expected. I mean, I expect them to score 90 points. I think I said 91. They got 90. Should have scored one more. But I think that they're making strides on the defensive end too. But they're offensively, this team can score. 21 assists to 5 turnovers. Shot 15 of 38 from 3. Shot again, 13 of 25 from 2, so 52% from 2. And they made free throws. 19 got to the line 28 times, shot 19 of 28, 16 offensive rebounds. All those things that you do offensively that are successful. So this is where you have to, you look at this team and you say this team could score. Now as they get better on the defensive end and as they get more experience, they're going to be really good.
Just for my, Coach Underwood talked briefly. I get to listen to a little bit of the post-game press conference, and he mentioned that he said exactly what Brad said, that Brad Sturdy said, that they're getting, they are.
He's a smart guy. He's a smart guy.
Both of you guys are. That they're making strides, and they really are. And this isn't just coaches talk. I watched. They won 90-58. I watched this team play Indiana the other night. Because I wanted to see. I think this is a very good SIU team. But Illinois has made strides since that opening exhibition game against Ole Miss. If they were to play Ole Miss right now, I think it would be a different outcome. This team is growing. You're starting to see the confidence. There's only one guy right now who hasn't found his stride yet between the exhibition, and the Eastern Illinois game. It's a nice game. It's Kylan Boswell from the offensive end of the floor. You've seen guys have some good output performances, but right now, this team is going to be a tough guard. I'm just really excited to see how they compare when they go up against the other big boys. That's going to be coming up here right around the corner.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect pacing to take on an Alabama team that struggled tonight as well. And again, these are college kids. Any given night, they can have an off game as a group. But as I look at this, I think this team is playing offense better than I had anticipated they would be able to play this earlier in the season. What are your thoughts on that, Brad?
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew they could score. I think the one thing Ole Miss was able to do was physically kind of get them off their marks. And if you can do that, then you can slow them down a little bit because they are young. But we've seen them after they saw that, and Brad Underwood knew that was going to happen. I mean, they knew what was going to happen when they went to Ole Miss. They were going to get physically. I was talking to the coach before the game. They were like, "We're going to get beat up physically." And it's just a matter of us handling that and learning how to handle those things. And I think you saw them learn, and they're so good offensively. They're fun to watch, and the way they play is exactly how you want to play. We look at it again tonight, and you've got look at them. They take. There's very few mid-range jumpers. They got 24 points in the paint, out of 30 points from 2-point range. So they had 3 mid-range jumpers, and the rest were 45 points from the 3-point line, 19 from the foul line. They're playing exactly the way you're supposed to play offensively in today's analytic age, right?
Well, Mike, you asked the question. I'm not surprised. I mean, we've talked about this kind of output performance, for most of the non-conference season. And, they put this team together, and I don't want to rehash this all the time, but, Ty Rogers is a guy that just recently redshirted. When you look at the big picture and look at this team, I mean, everyone on this team is a legitimate, 3-point shooter on this team. And to tell you the truth, you look at the guys, everybody, whether it was, Ben and Kylan and Ivisic and White, KJ, Booth, they all shoot threes. That's not Ty's game. So the reason I'm bringing him up is because this is what this team is put together for, and I know Ty's working on that part of his game. But having said that, I'm not surprised. And I was expecting to put up 100 points because, I've watched a couple of different people from outside who cover Illinois and just took a glance at them. They really think this is a dangerous, potent offensive team. And because we all know, you pick your poison. And they haven't really shot it well. If they come out and they all start to click, they're going to put up 125, 30 points on people. They just, the way they play, like Brad mentioned, the analytics part of it, they shoot a lot of threes and then they get a lot of, layups and baskets. They're going to get somebody for 100, more than 112, 14 points. I can assure you at some point.
Yeah, I thought it was nice to see Trey White kind of come out, start off and get his sea legs underneath him. And then Rickhouse really, shot the ball very well tonight. And Riley looks like he's going to get his points, and then I thought KJ was really good for another one of those really nice nights where, again, how many times I missed the second game in a row where he's had one of those amazing, it takes him 3 shots to get 12 points. You just don't see that very often. And then he gets a double-double because he had 13 assists and almost had, he had 8 rebounds. He almost had a triple-double. This kid's a freshman.
He's pretty good. I mean, some of the I sometimes I almost wish he'd shoot some of those wide open shots anyway, but he gets in the paint, he finds guys, he's spraying it around, he's getting guys on cuts, and the guys have already figured out, you can tell when they cut to the basket or when they're spotted up, you better have your hands up because he's going to find you and you better be ready to catch her. It's just you'll take one in the nose and we'll be wondering what happened. But he's just a special passer. He can shoot it. He's a really good ball handler. He has a fantastic just feel for the game.
You know what? I want to see, and he hasn't done it a lot, but he hasn't forced it. Well, he has a beautiful shot, a beautiful stroke, good release, rotation arch. I want to see that when that 3-point ball starts to fall for him like it has for some of the other kids, that's when you're going to see that really first-round draft potential we talked about because the other parts of his game is there. You mentioned he was 2 rebounds away from a triple-double tonight. Which as a freshman, which says a lot about his overall game. And he's handling the ball a little bit better. I think as a team, they were under 5 turnovers tonight as a team or something like that, I believe. So
right on 5.
Yeah. So, and that's him handling the basketball a lot. He's starting, to adjust to that part of his game. Once that, like I mentioned, once that 3 ball starts to fall, man, look out.
So, Kylan Boswell, it's a whole 2 games in. Do you do anything special to get him untracked, or you just kind of let him work through it the way the other guys have?
I would like to see them do something to get him a nice open look early in the next game. And I think that will help his confidence, maybe if he can knock one down and just kind of play. It's a new system. It's a new style. It's a new way to play. It's a new position somewhat for him. So he's got a lot to learn, even though he's a junior, and kind of fit in, find what his role is. And right now, what Brad's told him is defend, play great defense, knock down open jumpers, and kind of go from there. We have a question, or listener: Can Will Riley average a 4-point play per game? Maybe 2. Who knows at the rate he's going? I think he had 2 the first game, so that's what he said. He had 1 this game. So what is that? 3 through 2, so 1.5 a game. Well, that'd be pretty impressive.
Go just real quick to answer your question. You got to run something for him. He's pressing, and I thought Trey White was pressing, but then you saw what he did tonight coming out. I believe they play again next Wednesday. So at some point in time, you're going to see him, come out. It's a new system for him, and I will say this: I'm glad he's not forcing, the ball, forcing the issue. A lot of that could be because he's young. Because he's older. Well, he's not older. He's played a lot. Excuse me. There's a big difference. He's young, but he's played a lot of basketball since his 3rd year. But I mentioned that when we started the broadcast. I like to see him get going because once he gets going, again, just another dangerous part of the offense. And tonight, even Ben, he looked like he and Trey White tonight looked to me like, listen, I know what I can do. It looked like someone got in their ear and they just said, we're going to stop thinking. We're going to stop pressing. We're just going to go play. Because both of those guys, to me, have been pressing before. Kylan's doing it. And at some point, he's just going to go play. Even, KJ, they're just going to play their game.
The question I have is Tomislav he's way. I mean, I thought he was going to be good. If you go back into our radio podcasts, our articles, I've thought he was going to be the undervalued guy, but he looks like he looks way better than I thought he was going to be, and I thought he was going to be pretty good.
In my opinion, I know Brad's going to go. In my opinion, I think he's the best player on the team right now. That kid is just special. You're right. He's just different. Sorry, Bradley.
No, Ked, I don't disagree with you. We were actually talking about that, last game. I think that he might be the best player on the team when you factor in the fact that he's 21 years old. And he's putting up, 18 points, 7 rebounds. I mean, he's just really, his ability to pass, you can play him. He can shoot the three. He can post up. He can do a little bit of everything. So, I think that there are guys, Will Riley and Kasparis have more upside. But right now he might be the most important guy on the team and maybe the best player. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. And having him around, he's 21. That makes a big difference too, guys.
Yes. He can get into the bars. Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah. What a great night that was for all of us when you finally hit that age. I thought Morez played another good game. He's definitely going to take a little bit of time on the offensive end. But then again, if you just get enough rebounds and hustle, you're going to either get points or go to the free throw line. And I thought he looked a lot more confident and comfortable at the free throw line tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's doing what he can do too. I mean, Morez is a physical rebounding fiend, and he's doing exactly that. And I think that's what's important. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. And so when you ask him to go out there, hey, go get every rebound. And he did. He actually he got booed tonight. That was kind of funny when he got booed a little bit for grabbing that rebound after away from Kasparis there at the end of the game as he's going for a triple-double. But he 8 rebounds. Again, nice block shot, plus 21, made the only basket he had, 3 out of 4 from the line. He's just going to be really good, and he's a great piece backing up Tomislav this season.
I'd like to see them get to me, what he's doing, he's set great picks. I'd like to see them run something for him too. Go set one of those picks and slip it and get to the basket. Get his confidence up on the offensive end of the floor. I know he's capable of doing it. Right now, he's just, and then maybe that's his role, but it should be another nice package to have if you had a guy on the block. I've not seen them throw the ball to him just per se on the block like they have with Ivisic. I know it's in their game plan for him, but just to get him some confidence too on the offensive end, because that's going to pay dividends later on when you go up against a team like Rutgers, who is smaller and quicker and athletic on the perimeter, but they're big. So I would love to see them get him going offensively and give them a different look in the post.
Totally agree with that. Of course, the Illini return to action next Wednesday night, and they will be taking on Oakland. Brad, is Oakland the type of stepping stone they need to take to kind of be in place and ready to go against an Alabama team that I'm certain will play better against Illinois than they did tonight?
No question. The one thing I'll say is I think it's a natural progression. I think Greg Kampe is just, he's one of the legends of college coaching in the sense that he's been around forever and fantastic coach, and he's going to have a good game plan for Illinois. Now, how do they handle that? A different style, a more physical game, a game where they're going to be a little bit more, probably better prepared than anyone else has been. So I think Kampe is a really good coach, and so it's a good test for them as they get prepped for Alabama, and they're having these kind of shorter turnarounds. Get a few days practice. They got some things to work on. I think it's really good, and this will be a natural progression. I would think they'll be a 20-plus point favorite, but at the same time, this is how you do it. You just get a little bit better here, get a young team, and then it's going to be a shock to the system because they got Alabama. Then they'll have, they get another, critter, and then they'll have Arkansas. So this is like, hey, here we go. Once we hit Alabama, you got Alabama, you got Arkansas coming up, you got Tennessee, you got Missouri. I mean, all through that month, plus a couple of Big Ten games. So, man, this is they better get ready quick.
And this, in my opinion, this isn't your typical Oakland team like they have in the past. But I know why they put them on the schedule, because you've had a couple gimme games, if you will. Shouldn't say that like you said, Mike, because some of the top teams in the country are struggling right now. But this Oakland team would have been a nice test before they start to open up with some of the big boys. But next week, that's happening everywhere. All around college basketball, you have some of the bigger games. And, tonight, Kansas and North Carolina was one of those games. So, and it's nice to see, if you're an Illinois fan, to see Illinois, have an opportunity to play against some of the top teams in the country, because they're definitely doing that this year.
Well, and you can see, look, we can put this into perspective in another sport. Right now, for those people who are listening or watching live, UCLA which started off about as bad as you could look this football season, is playing Iowa, and they're actually up over the Hawkeyes in the third quarter. And if they hadn't had a moment where they fumbled into the end zone, you would be to the point where they would be up 24-10 over the Hawkeyes. Teams develop, and I think Brad Underwood has a much better advantage over a lot of coaches because of his ability to integrate a new roster.
Yeah, that's what's he say? That was the way it was at junior college. So that's the way it works. So no question, he's been he's really good at that, taking those guys, putting them together late, and mixing in. I mean, you look, they have one guy back from last year. It's kind of insane when you think about how good they are potentially when you only have one player back from a year ago. So this has been you're exactly right. His JUCO days, just relying on that past experience to be able to put these teams and mold these pieces together. The one thing I'll say is I feel like this team, they know what they are a little earlier than even last year's team. I feel like last year's team didn't know because of adding Damask and how they were going to use him, how they're going to play him. I think you can see this team is and they don't have a Terrence Shannon. If they had Terrence Shannon, I might pick this team to win it all. But they do have – this team is a team that has a lot of pieces, and they've meshed together much quicker than you thought they would, I guess, than even last year maybe did, because they had a lot of returning pieces, but they were kind of in different roles.
They definitely know who they are now. I mean, like I said, I think you can see the confidence level starting to grow. I think the coaches are starting to become more comfortable with them. I mean, there was one sequence tonight where I think three guys shot a three. All three shot a three and missed. And, my thinking in the old days, okay, we got to get a post touch. And what does Ben do? He launches it and he makes a three. So that's just their game. That's who they are. That's going to be their identity. A lot of teams defensively are going to try to run them off the line. At some point, people are going to try and do that. But the way they spread the basketball around, and the way and Kasparis is a key to that. The way he drives and he dishes and he kicks the ball out, because the beautiful thing with him, he's also a good free throw shooter. So you can't sit there and he'll get to the rim and he can he'll finish. Like at some point, like I mentioned earlier, his shooting will catch on, and they're just going to it'll add another dimension to this already potent offense.
Well, and that was kind of my trademark is shooting and missing a three. I don't the making three. I'm just not very good at.
You were great at that. Everybody has a role.
The sad thing is, Brad, is I'm one of those people that can go back into high school and say we didn't have 3-point shots when I was there. So
true. Actually, so I graduated in 1987 at 17 years old, and they brought the 3-point to high schooler in 1988. So.
Yeah. Oh, you're the last year then, because us 85ers, we didn't even have hope.
Hey, Mike, and the thing is, I had so many threes that year that were just twos. They were really bad shots if you think about it. But
that helped you in your coaching career, because you knew exactly what you're putting. You could realize what a kid's putting you through.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other thoughts here as we as we look at a game that one of the things that I talk about all the time that people say I'm way too easy on, but to me, to be a great team beats up on the team they're supposed to beat up on. So I look at this game as being so much better, especially like the Gross era. Remember going to Springfield and you're thinking,
Oh,
oh,
man.
this will be an
I
easy
remember
win.
that.
And then you're like, oh my God, it's like literally we're playing Springfield Lanphier and we're losing, and so it was, to me, the one thing that this team is doing is they seem very confident and they do take care of business when they're supposed to. I think the Ole Miss game may have been a stroke of genius to get that done before the season starts, because I think this team has grown by leaps and bounds from what we saw that night.
Yeah, I agree, and I think then they're going to grow from playing Alabama and Arkansas, and kind of, Arkansas is probably more neutral, but Alabama's definitely, even though it says neutral, it's a road game. You're going to Birmingham, Alabama. So, and I think, we talk about, playing those easy games or whatever, but SIU had just gotten done playing Indiana, and they were tied with 4 minutes to go in the first half. Lost 80-61, but we're down 42-30, down by 12 in the second half, and about 12 with 10 minutes to go in the game. So this isn't a bad team. Picked to be third in the OVC. I'm not saying they're a Big Ten level team, but it's not like they're bad. And so this is where they took care of business to exactly what they were supposed to do against a team that's under doesn't have as much talent.
Well, you know what? Like you said, I remember when I look at this whole thing, I remember there was one year in 2005. I was thinking, you know what? They played the 2005 team when they came out, and when they played Gonzaga, I believe they just looked like they were just looking to punish people. And I thought, you know what? That's what this looks like to me. This looks like a team that is literally going out there to try to punish somebody. So to me, I like it. I like what I see out of them. They're looking like they're really, really trying to go out and just beat people. And that's not, you don't want to leave teams hang around, because, there's going to be lulls in games. There'll be stretches where things just don't go well. Shots don't fall. I like that part of it. That's the fact that they come out and they handle business by being so young. That's huge to me.
Yeah, I think this is a very hopeful sign. Obviously, there's still gonna be some losses that are gonna potentially frustrate the heck out of Illinois fans, because they are young. But I think in the end, I think we're gonna have a team that does really well, and maybe they'll start off very talented and then get even better. So even where UCLA has started off sucky and starting to play decent, so maybe Illinois can skip the sucky. Got that out of the way with Ole Miss. For those people who are on right now, we would encourage you to subscribe to IlliniGuys.com if you enjoy what you have heard here on this podcast or what you've seen. I have a hard time seeing how this is enjoyable to watch us, but hey, that's to each their own. But what we do on IlliniGuys.com, you're going to get all the articles that you want on Illini sports. You're going to get many of them ahead of time back in the behind the paywall, and most of our stuff is paywall protected because our subscribers do pay some money for it, and we want to make sure there's a value. But what we do that is the very unique is we have a message board back there where Brad and Ked and myself, along with Larry and Matt, we're there. And of course, we have a community of subscribers who post there as well. But unlike the passive thing where you turn on ESPN and you listen to somebody scream about this, that, or the other thing, and then you flip the channel somewhere else. Well, here you can read Brad's article or you can watch a podcast, and then you can go onto the message board and say, hey, Ked, what did you mean by this? Or, hey, Brad, I disagree with you, and here's why. And then we have those types of discussions going on. Plus, you have Illini fans from around the world comparing notes on everything possible, Illini sports, Big Ten sports, college sports, professional sports, movies, food, anything that a guy does, you can imagine that people argue about it. So 27 cents a day. Please go over there and give that a whirl. We have a $99 a year deal, and we have not changed that since the day that we started. But it does cost us money when you send Brad to New York to cover a game or Matt to Oregon to cover a game. And we like to have the participation and have that community, but also the subscribers help us to be able to cover the Illini well. So think about that. Brad, any final thoughts before we sign off here?
Yeah, it starts getting tougher next week with Oakland. I think we're ready for that. Illini women have a big game on Sunday against Marquette. That's huge, coming off their big win over Florida State, which ranked Florida State number 19. Shout out to the women's volleyball team for their win over number 20 USC. That's a good win for Chris Thomas's program. He's got they're up to 16-7, I think 8-5 in the Big Ten. So, it's good, pretty good weekend. On a football bye weekend for the Illini.
You know what? Brad's right. Just a great performance tonight. Kudos to the women, like he mentioned, and in volleyball. But you want to keep it going. Like we mentioned, the women play Marquette on Sunday, and it would be nice for the fans to get out. I know the women are trying to be nice, but they want that crowd out there. I was at the game last night, and they love to see the orange, all in the State Farm Center. So, big time, if you want to be a big time program, you have to have the fan support, and you also want, to be some of the best teams, and you're going to schedule them, and they're doing that. So let's go. It's, November, and that means it's college basketball season.
Yeah, I feel like we're back into the old days. We're now playing the best teams. And I just think this is awesome when you put together a preseason schedule like this. It is what Illinois fans have been waiting for an awful long time, and I'm excited to see that happen. Again, folks, we will have we do Eye on the Illini multiple times during the week. We try to cover all the games and be watching for our live halftime shows as well. We do those as often as we can. Obviously, it gets a little bit funky as we're at the game and trying to get these things all set up. But we do our best to do a halftime show, and then we'll do these live right after the game. And, of course, we also have the IlliniGuys Sports Spectacular that you can listen to. You can get it on podcast, or you can go to IlliniGuys.com, check out the radio button, and it'll show you either Friday or Saturday the time and what station it's on around you. You can tune in that way, or you can download the podcast. And we also have our Big Ten show, Big Sports Radio. Again, all of our podcasts are on the big podcast distributors, so subscribe to them, and then you won't miss an episode. You don't have to worry about what Ked said because you missed it. It's right there in your email and all ready to go. So with that, folks, we certainly appreciate you tuning in. And, of course, until next time, go Illini.